why is that okay that I didn't choose that route? Like, what would I have had to give up? Um, and kind of be happy with your life, because I think there's lots of regret for everyone, but especially when you can see everyone where we had like really like, here is your timeline. This very set in stone of how everything will occur in your life. And that path, at some point, when you choose to deviate, it'll go a different direction, right? And realizing that's okay. That's it's part of life, and whether or not you would be willing to trade that for anything.
I think no, I think that's a phenomenal response. The one thing that I will say to all of the listeners, and I've said this before, and you'll probably hear me say it again on this podcast a bunch of times, is even if you crush your transition, you're still going to feel loss. This isn't a my the biggest misconception that I had is because I got out of the military pretty frictionless with very little friction. I did well. Like everything kind of went my way. I even got a sick job at a company that everybody wanted to be a part of immediately. Like I thought I should feel a lot better about my transition than I did. And a year later, I go, feel really weird. Why do I feel weird? And so then recognizing, like, oh, I'm sad because I'm not part of the military anymore. Like, why is this happening? And so just understand that it creeps in. And I guess James, when you make that that realization that that these things will creep in, because you're like you said, you can literally track your possible progress, which outside of the military, we don't have that. It's like maybe you make the right decision, maybe not. But also when those moments of doubt come up, even the moments of doubt where you go, man, did I pick the right job? Like, did I do what I'm supposed to do? How do you work through those moments where where you might have those questioning, like those questions come up? How do you personally work through that and um, kind of move, like just ride that wave all the way to its conclusion?
Yeah. So, and I think part of it is there are some, obviously there's some great benefits in being in the civilian world as well, right? The Having three kids who are 7, 4, and 1, the fact that I can still see them every night, I can't imagine like going on deployment like so many people do, and making that sacrifice again and again and again. And uh, I think that has changed a lot of my perception as well, of not really ever wanting to give that up, right? And it highlights the sacrifice we ask for people to do, and realizing that, I really appreciate that other people are able to do that, but that wasn't a right decision for me. Um, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me personally. And I think for everyone, it's going to be very different. There's also for the job aspect, like doing pen testing with the Navy was a lot of fun. I think I have better tools now outside of it, because of there's so many restrictions and different things like that. I had to use computers, which I would actually do a lot of my studying. I'd go in, I'd do some stuff in the skiff, and then I would head back out, and I would do something on a Raspberry Pi on this little like that is more more cutting edge and more interesting. I think that's changing a little bit, but there are some of those um, that some of that there, and so I think there's those things as well. And then also I think the reason why people get out is also just really important, right? So if for the different ways that it kind of brings up.
I think I completely agree with you, and I think what you said at the beginning of the podcast, where you one had really good grounding principles of why you left, which was family reasons, and then also being to articulate and understand the things that you desired to place yourself in and trying to find those things outside of the military. Both of those things combine to really give you a foundation to ride out those storms that will eventually show up. And I think it's a great lesson for anybody. You really do need to define what it is that you want. Why did you get out? A, and then B, what fulfills you in a more agnostic sense outside of the military, so that you can really dive into those things post military, so you have that purpose, so that when the the wave comes where you feel some level of regret for leaving, you can ground yourself in those principles. And I think that that's really awesome and just a great message for people to hear.